All right, let's now bring in CBS Sports senior college football writer Pete Prisco for his reaction to what we saw today in that final preseason game for the Bills and the Packers. I guess let's start with Josh Allen. Pete, he had himself a great look. He played, had himself good yardage, good looks, touchdowns. What were your thoughts on Allen and the only look that we've had of him in the preseason?
He's ready for the regular season. And the one thing you noticed on the touchdown pass to Gabriel Davis was he was looking left, came back to the middle, and fired that shot. He went through his progressions, which is something I think that he's going to do a better job of this season. For all the talk about him being the breakout player last year, and he was, I think there was a lot of room for growth in terms of standing in the pocket and going through your progressions. At times he was, get to one, get to two, and then get out. Well, now he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think that's the biggest growth for him is staying in the pocket, being able to go through your reads and your progressions and firing that laser shot down the middle of the field to Gabriel Davis, who, by the way, is going to be a big part of their offense because he can really run, and I think that's something that we're going to see growth from him as well in terms of what he can do in that passing game. The Bills will be able to throw it. They'll score a lot of points. The concern will be, can they run it when they need to run it, and can they be physical when they need to be physical?
Yeah, for Gabriel Davis, you mentioned him, 5 receptions on 5 targets, 74 yards, and the touchdown. Just to follow up on Allen here, Pete, were you surprised at how much we saw of him, at how long he stayed in this game?
No, because it's a weird preseason. It's the first time we've had 3 games, and if you don't play at all, you don't play your starters in this game, then you go a long time without getting any real work in. So I'm not surprised that they handled it this way. I think it was a smart thing. They came out of it without the injury, so that work is good for you as you prepare for the regular season. It's a different type of preseason now. They're learning on the fly. How do you handle it? Who do you play? Do you rest guys in week 3? So I think Sean McDermott made the right decision to play him here, and he looked like he's ready to move on to the regular season.
Okay, so let's talk about the quarterback on the other side, and that, of course, was Jordan Love, 12 of 18 for 149 yards, and he saw the interception, kind of tossed it off his back foot. Micah Hyde took advantage of that. What did you make of what you saw from Jordan Love today?
For all the talk that Jordan Love was going to be a disaster in the preseason, he wasn't, and he hasn't been. And I think that has to offer the Packers some encouragement. He made some really good throws today. Yeah, that interception, that's the kind of play a young quarterback will make. He's trying to make a big play. He's pressing too much. Don't, just throw it into the crowd. Don't throw it up where you can get picked off in the red zone. So those are the kind of mistakes that young quarterbacks have to eliminate. But all in all, I think if you're the Green Bay Packers, you have to be encouraged by what you saw from Jordan Love in the preseason. He looked like he was confident at times. He looked like he belonged, and that's the most important thing. So if there is a trade coming after the season with Aaron Rodgers, are they, prepared to play Jordan Love? He offers some encouragement, that's for sure.
So who were some of the players that, other than the 2 quarterbacks, that stood out for you, Pete, that had themselves good days today?
Well, I think you got to look at the Bills' offensive line. And again, they were working against backups, but that was another question for them going into last season. Can they hold up time and time again? And they did a good job of that. And you want to hold up in terms of keeping Allen in the pocket, not forcing him to get outside. Now, there was the one play where he hit Beasley. You saw that play where he was flushed outside and had to make a play with his legs. They want to cut down on those. They also want to cut down on the quarterback runs. They had way too many of those. I'm talking about the design ones. You want to run more of a conventional running game. Get Zach Moss going. Get those guys going in the running game. And I think that's where you're going to see growth by that offensive line is the power game in terms of the run and also being able to protect Josh Allen. And so far, at least today, the offensive line looks solid.
Pete, before we let you go, there's a report out there this afternoon that the Miami Dolphins are the lead team in trade talks with the Houston Texans concerning Deshaun Watson. The report claims the Texans want 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks as capital for Watson, and that's according to a team that has since backed out of the trade talks. That would mean, I would think, that the Dolphins are looking at trading Tua Tagovailoa if they're going to be bringing in Deshaun Watson. How feasible is this, Pete? Have you heard anything about the Dolphins being involved deep in trade talks for Deshaun Watson?
No, I have not. And when I was there a couple weeks ago and talked to Brian Flores, he seemed to be encouraged by, Tua Tagovailoa, and he looked like he was a guy that had made growth. I mean, look, if you're going to make this deal, how do you sell that to your fan base? And first and foremost, you have a quarterback who has all these legal issues hanging over his head, and until they're remedied, how do you make that deal? A. B, if you don't make the deal, What message did you just send to your quarterback who you drafted a year ago and who you're trying to make your franchise quarterback? I don't like the makeup of this entire trade possibility. If you could pull it off and get Deshaun Watson, if he didn't have the legal problems and you wanted to make a deal, I get it. But I don't understand it with the legal issues hanging over his head. And so I think this is just out there. If they make a deal for a guy who's got legal issues until they're remedied, that's risky business in my book. I know there's some talk of protecting the draft picks if there is legal issues going forward, but I just think it's a tough thing to sell to your fan base that you made a move to go get a franchise quarterback, and then suddenly he has some more legal issues that are entangled and bring him into a situation where he's going to have to go to court and fight him and everything else that goes along with it. So I just don't think this is a good situation for Miami to be even in the talk or the talks to trade for him. Leave it alone. Play with Tua. See what you have. And then if the legal issues are remedied and he can play next year or when he can play, then maybe make a deal for him.
Senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joining us to talk about the Bills and Packers and a possible deal between the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson. Pete says, don't bother. Don't bother with it. Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's a proven commodity in the NFL outside of the legal issues. As you take a look at his 2020 regular season stats, I mean, in terms of his NFL rankings, I mean, he's in the top 3 in terms of completion percentage, pass yards, and his touchdown to interception ratio, and also passer rating. We're going to take a quick break here on HQ, but when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk to Jonathan Johnson about a potential move for Deshaun Watson. Jonathan Jones, pardon me. We'll be back after this.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.